Hi everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to be speaking about this upcoming new moon taking place in the sign of Leo on the 18th or 19th of August, depending on where you are on the planet. Needless to say, like all lunations of the year 2020, this one is very special and unique in its own kind of way, especially considering its very strong intensity, because this new moon speaks in a conversation of supreme harmony with Mars from fellow fire sign Aries, the ruling sign of Mars. So Mars is the activator. Mars is, along with Uranus, one of the quickest energies of the zodiac, and whenever it touches another planet, another expression of a symbolism, well, it usually activates it and it infuses it with a lot of energy, and this infusion of energy is that much intense and stronger since Mars is in its home sign of Aries and the Sun is in its home sign of Leo. And then we have another energy where this new moon phenomenon also speaks in supreme harmony with the South Node conjunct the galactic center in Sagittarius. So this is a grand fire trine, a very, very powerful, intense, and actually quick acting energy, because it is fire, and fire is instantaneous, it's spontaneous, and also, since Mars has such a very strong role in this celestial conversation, well, Mars adds a lot of quickness, haste, and also a touch of karma to it, so it is bound to manifest rather quickly, intensely, and whatever it produces, it is bound to catalyze a very powerful and massive change. Now, it takes place in the third decan of Leo, as in 26 degrees of the sign, so that also means that whatever new beginning this new moon has to conjure up in the world or in our own personal lives, well, that new beginning also enables a completion, a breakthrough, maybe something that we need to happen in our lives, something that we need to do, perform, take action. Because, this is, on one hand, it is a very karmic energy, but on the other hand, it also depends highly on our choices and actions, and especially the ambition, the passion, the feeling that at this time burns very intensely in our hearts. Because, every new moon phenomenon, it is like a sponge where it absorbs our desires, our intent, our focus, and then it produces something based on that in our personal lives, and of course outer reality, collective reality as well, just that the seed of intention has to be, like a collective goal where masses of people feed it into the universe, and in our personal lives it's just us, or perhaps our loved ones, our partner, etc. So this is something that all new moons have in common. But when it's such a very powerful fire new moon, which is an active part of a rather exact grand fire trine in the sky, well, then that is almost like a celestial signature, that it depends so much on what we want, the truth inside our hearts. Also, Mars in Aries, whatever we wish for ourselves, whatever our sovereign will, our determination, our ambition is, whatever we are fighting for, as in Aries, the sign of the warrior. May it be spiritual warrior, may it be actual, the embodiment of a warrior archetype, like a military person, a soldier, a police officer, a general, etc. May it be an intellectual warrior, may it be, like a warrior of love, like an activist, or a philosopher, a warrior of deep thought, etc. So this is where it doesn't really matter what archetype you embody. Mars in Aries still activates the warrior expression of that archetype when you have to go forth and with great courage, ambition, determination, boldness, just express yourself, just stand up for your principles, what you believe in, who you are. This is almost like an invitation from the sky above to express ourselves, to express our inner truth. And the galactic center in Sagittarius, to believe with every fiber, every atom of our beings, in ourselves, in our highest philosophies, in what we truly stand for on a heart level, on a soul level, on a mental level. But of course, the South Node is also in this picture, so we truly have to embody wisdom. We have to embody the healthiest expression of our faith, because there is a very hidden danger in this, because the South Node in Sagittarius, it's not so favorable expression. Well, that is religious, dogmatic, fanaticism. That is a very rigid, closed worldview. That is also when an individual is simply unable to accept another person's truth, another perspective, another principle. This is like the energy of a very powerful radicalism. So the South Node in this part of the sky, it is like an imperative invitation that we have to apply the wisdom of the past experiences, because this is the only way we can make sure to do things totally differently than we did in the past. And this is more so true than ever from a collective perspective, because what does the South Node in Sagittarius tell us about? Well, it tells us about all the acts of terrorism in the name of religion, like the ISIS movement, like the events of 9/11, or for example, the Middle Ages, when, religion dominated everything in a very suffocating and unhealthy manner. And speaking about religion and, its limiting and suffocating effects on human civilization, there is an other energy in the sky, which, even though it doesn't have much to do with this new moon phenomenon directly, it still has a very powerful influence, and the main theme is exactly religious fanaticism. Because, on the 12th of January 2020, we had the very powerful Saturn and Pluto conjunction, which is a very rare aspect. When it last happened 504 years ago, it coincided with the Protestant movement. So the power of the institution of the Pope, the symbol of centralized power at that time, was challenged, and it was basically forced to make a very powerful compromise. So that was a massive pivotal moment in our collective history, where religious fanaticism had to truly back off and leave space for, the intellectual sphere, rationality, logic to take over and, develop our civilization into what it is today. And what a very powerful coincidence, because Pluto, at the time of this new moon phenomenon, is exactly touching 22 degrees and 58 minutes of the sign of Capricorn, extremely close, just a few minutes away from where that January's very, very rare and powerful Saturn-Pluto conjunction took place. So naturally, a Pluto retrograde, who also forms a square with Mars, its lower octave, as in Mars the activator, reactivates all the main theme of January. So this is where the wisdom of the past has to be applied without any hesitation. For if we do not apply all the wisdom, all the knowledge, all the practical life experience, more so true collectively than individually, that the past and even just the recent past, January's events, have shown us, well, then chances are that this grand fire trine won't be a blessing for everyone equally, because a grand fire trine, the energy of courage and maximum inner empowerment, can also be used for very evil, very inhuman, shocking deeds. For example, terrorism, horrors, and the most horrible acts of aggression and violence committed in the name of faith and religion. So we must be extremely diligent and wise not to repeat that again. But if we do apply wisdom and diligence, well, then naturally, without a shadow of a doubt, this is a massive blessing, a blessing of power. Mars is power, the power of our sovereign wills, and it's in home sign of Aries. And it's not even alone in its home sign of Aries, because at this time Mars sits on top of Eris, the female awakener, planetoid of discord, rebellion, revolution, chaos. So it is a very, very strong and powerful energy, especially that Mars and Eris are squaring Pluto and Saturn in the sign of Capricorn. So that is a very strong karmic moment. And on the world stage, without any doubt, it represents revolution, rebellion, people fighting for their rights, the empowerment of the individual, where it's not, this is where the sky for the first time truly doesn't favor at all centralized power. It infuses the individual with courage, bravery, the supreme expression of fire energy, which is also the soul and alchemy. So from a global perspective, this is going to be a moment when the revolution, the rebellion, the uprising of the people has a very great chance at least to intimidate the representatives in centralized power, so compromises can truly happen, because right at this time, centralized power, the governments, big organizations, big corporations are gonna be challenged anyway. So this energy just makes sure that their voices are definitely being heard. And also Pluto conjunct Saturn and Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn, and this Mars square, well, that without a doubt is the abuse, misuse, overuse of power, secrets being pulled to the surface, big disclosures, big revelations, a massive change in legislation, leaders or people who are exposed at this time as corrupted individuals who serve only their own purposes are going to definitely be called to stand trial. Legal cases, even international legal cases, are going to be open, and naturally people will demand justice, people will demand the truth, and this energy basically empowers the individual. And when those individuals are allied with each other, they work together in synergy, in solidarity. Venus in the sign of Cancer makes this that much more possible. Well then, from a global general perspective, this kind of energy is what potentially can overthrow governments. It can produce massive changes, and it doesn't have to be in a very violent way, as in protests, uprising, and violent action. It can be very true from a legal perspective, petitions, legal cases, etc. Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn, basically. Also, it can play out in a totally different manner. For example, individuals, groups, local communities will simply have the courage, empowerment, and ambition to boycott, for example, big organization, withdraw their support from whatever irritates them or whatever goes against their principles. And when people do not support materially, financially, or through their custom, big organizations, may that be a government, an institution, big pharma, a big corporation, a big supermarket, it doesn't matter, well then all it takes is 1 or 2 months and that organization is immediately condemned to a slow and painful demise, symbolically speaking, because without the support, the custom, the money, the loyalty of people, of individuals, well, in truth, no one has any power over anything. Of course, at the same time, both the moon and the sun, because they're conjunct, that is the new moon, are going to form a quincunx, a minor astrological aspect with Saturn retrograde from the sign of Capricorn. So this can be a very surprising energy. This is the energy of compromise, negotiations, accepting certain, for example, versions, options, solutions, which normally would be unacceptable. This can also be an energy of inventivity, ingenuity, because the sun and moon are in the very creative, self-expressive sign of Leo. So when Leo has a very strong inspiration, a feeling in their heart that doing something or taking a course of action would be a good idea, well, Leo doesn't really wait. It goes and acts immediately. That is why Leo is the sign attached to risks, leaps of faith. And, Leo is a very lucky energy because when you just act on an impulse, sometimes the universe blesses you with the so-called beginner's luck. So even if you don't have that much knowledge, even if you are not advantaged, you can still, have a massive breakthrough because the universe supports this kind of boldness, ambition, and courage if it isn't sourcing from, the ego, as in a very, very self-centered way. And also, the moon and the sun speak in the same manner with Pluto, even though the quincunx with Pluto is not that exact. So we can expect surprises, very shocking secrets being revealed. Pluto is death and transformation, so it can be someone, for example, stepping down, surrendering their power, maybe a powerful leader, maybe an influential person on the world stage, maybe some royalty, because this is all about royalty from a certain perspective. For Leo rules, royalty, nobles, VIPs, highly influential people who are influential because of their popularity. And at this time, Mercury is also conjunct the sun and moon. So Mercury is information, the flow of information. Its more negative expression in Leo can be gossip and stuff like that. And Mercury is also not exactly, but relatively conjunct with the fixed star Regulus, which is all about kings, matters which regard monarchy, kingdom, royal families, royal heritage, etc. So we can expect some very unusual, maybe shocking news to come to the surface about royal families, regardless from which culture. Since Saturn and Pluto are retrograde, it can also represent the past. So something that hasn't taken place right now, it can stem from the past, recent past, or very, very distant past. But of course, it doesn't necessarily have to be just royalty. Hollywood stars, movie stars, VIPs, every person who is relevant in the public eye falls into this category. So this is where shocking secrets or, gestures, because this is very, very action-oriented aspect, can come to the surface and it can shock us or surprise us, delight us, or make us feel awkward. Now, individually speaking, this energy can play out in so very many different ways for us personally. But regardless of where the sign of Leo falls into your personal chart, especially 26 degrees of Leo, it is still an infusion of courage, inner power, inner strength, self-confidence, Sun, Moon, and Mercury in the sign of Leo conjunct together, well, that translates that you know exactly who you are, what you stand for, you know your heart, you know the feeling in your heart, and that knowledge of being aligned with who you truly are, that can give you a lot of power, a lot of courage. This can be an energy where, your self-worth just shines through because you know that you deserve all the good in life. You're willing to fight for your rights. You're willing to fight for yourself and what you embody. You are taking care of your inner child. And this energy is very powerful for those individuals who are parents as well. Because Leo is children. It can also be the inner child. So it doesn't matter if we are fighting, standing up for our inner child, as in the child within us, or our, physical children, so to speak, the younger generations. This energy is all about children. And when a child is involved, as in the child is always our future generation, we as a human collective always invest everything good from so many perspectives psychologically, as in our life experience, our values, moral values, and of course material values. We invest everything that we acquire throughout life into our children because they are the future. So whenever, children are involved in the picture, well, that usually gives us that much more courage, that much more ambition. It triggers our parental instincts. Even those individuals who are not parents themselves, well, they still want the future and they still believe, in the future generation. So it will definitely empower them to step out their comfort zone and go that extra mile. May it be for the happiness of their own inner child, may it be their children, or if they're not parents, simply for the ideology of, the future generation, so that they can inherit something truly valuable from us. And if we add Mars and Aries, the trine, the Sun and Moon form with Mars and Aries into this picture, well then, that is where our instinct, all the power that we have inside of our bodies, inside our primordial selves, also gives us courage and strength and ambition to overcome any limitation, to fight for our rights, our self-expression, our opinions, our identities. And if we add the galactic center and the South Node in Sagittarius, well, it doesn't really have to be just children. We can find that courage and that celestial empowerment to fight for our principles, for what we believe in, our highest ideologies. And I think the key theme in all of this energy, besides the children and our futures, well, that is to be allowed for us to simply embody and be who we are, who we feel that we are, without any limitations from external reality, from society, from other people. This is where we're simply fighting for our existence. No one should be limited, enslaved, or, discriminated for wanting to be who they are, for wanting to embody their inner truth, regardless of what that is. Everyone should have the right to be who they are. And this is why the South Node is also very important, because, it is up to the individual to embody true wisdom and life experience, that who we truly are should not, go against the principles of other people, and it shouldn't make the lives of others unpleasant or to actually destroy them. Because, if you're a serial killer, well, you cannot actually express that and embody that, because it goes against every single principle that humanity stands for. But if you're just a daydreamer and all you want to do all throughout your life is just to be immersed in your big daydream, well, that doesn't really affect anyone in a negative way. Quite the opposite. You sharing your daydreams and fantasies might turn into a very beautiful and inspirational artistic expression. So, we have to know the difference between what is right and what is wrong. So if we stand from a place of alignment, with who we are deep inside our heart, the power of our instincts, our sovereign will, Aries, Mars in Aries, and of course all the life experience and wisdom that we manage to process, understand and embody, South Node conjunct the Galactic Center in Sagittarius, well then this energy can do a lot of things. This energy is so useful to transform our careers, to transform our work lives, our daily routines. This energy can give us courage to go on and dare to immerse into new studies, change a profession, maybe revive an old hobby of ours, an old passion of ours, resurrect something really, really beautiful from the past which made us infinitely happy. But since it's a new moon and fire energy, well, it's ideal for new beginnings, to initiate something new, to just express yourself, express your truth, stand up for who you are, eliminate everyone from your lives who simply doesn't belong there. And this is where Mercury conjunct the Sun and Moon in Leo. In your hearts of hearts, you know without a shadow of a doubt who belongs there and who doesn't. This energy is perfect to just shut down old compromises, eliminate all those people from your life who take away your freedom, liberty, your power. It is such a good energy to reclaim all the power that you have, all the power that we may have squandered and given away freely to, other people, maybe including our parents, our families, our friends, our partners, our associates. Centralized power, even an idea, a philosophy, a principle, religion. And there is also a quincunx with Saturn. So, following through certain inner impulses, because Mercury is conjunct the Sun and Moon, so there is a nuance of rationality and intellectual energy into it. For example, you just feel a very strong passion in your heart to do something, and you think about it, but Mercury and Leo, you find some kind of way to express yourself, and quincunx with Saturn, it can lead in the most surprising and unexpected ways to a great reward, to a great accomplishment. It can simply manifest. And even if it doesn't work out in a very miraculous way, it can still offer you some experience. It can still lead to something positive, even if it's just a moment of great humor that you're going to remember for the rest of your life, and it's going to be a great story to tell your children, grandchildren. But this is where some kind of rewards or a manifestation of a past action that you have performed, a work, a sacrifice, a favor, can simply return into your life, and that returning can offer the chance for a fantastic new beginning, new moon. It can also play out as favors that you have done for others returning into your life. Unusual, unexpected job offers, career offers, partnerships, help being offered by highly influential people. But it can also be the other way, where people asking for help, if you choose to help them, even if it might seem rather inconvenient or disadvantageous for you, you can never know what karmic entanglements can happen, and it can lead you to something really positive and beautiful. This energy is also really good for love and romance, because Leo is the symbol of passionate love. May it be romantic love, as in love for a person, a love based on attraction, but it can be activities, a job, career, anything that is based on love, and it can give birth to a really powerful new beginning, because this is where we're inspired to take action, or if it's not exactly us personally, then that other person can be inspired to take action and just come forward and offer us something. Or maybe we are the ones offering something. Either way, this can give birth to new alliances, new friendships, new romantic involvements, new projects, collaborations, etc. Because either you or someone else who you have to get connected with can just have a moment of maximum courage and come forward. And when people do take a lot of initiatives, that energy gets a lot of things done. And at the same time, there is absolutely no reason why this shouldn't be a fantastic news for the coronavirus situation, for example, the economic, political, social collapse. Because this energy can give birth to very unusual but ingenious solutions. This is where even scientists and those people on the front line can take risks. They can have moments of maximum courage and boldness, determination, and that can do a lot of things for them. So, solutions to this whole situation can be born under this energy. And naturally, it also has a very powerful spiritual, metaphysical side to this as well. Because, like a metaphysical expression of Sagittarius, well, it is cosmic energy, the deepest thought, as in the highest mental and cerebral frequencies that can all of a sudden connect you, unite you with the divine mind, the divine intelligence, the galactic center, pure, unbound, creational energy. An infusion of raw divine power that can give birth to whatever you're focusing on, whatever you're focusing your energy on. And if from a spiritual perspective, there ever was a moment when your way or the highway is an option, is available, where, even Saturn standing from its throne of Capricorn, the Lord of Karma, Saturn is the power which has to allow manifestation or, not allow it. This is the kind of energy where we can break Saturn, where we can outwill even the Lord of Karma itself. And this is exactly why we have to be so very aligned with wisdom, with, our inner truth, so that we don't make the mistake to unwisely force the universe to give us something that was never ever meant for us, and it will ultimately lead to very harsh lessons having to be learned in the more distant future. But if you do stand from a place of wisdom, well, then this is a very, very powerful energy of manifestation, where it depends very much where you put your focus, your energy into. Because at this time, the moon is definitely going to be a sponge to absorb all your intentions, your will, your desire, especially that Mercury is in this picture as well. So thoughts and feelings weave together in an amalgam of pure creational energy, and if the moon absorbs that, well, naturally it can give birth to whatever we desire. And since Mars is the activator, more quickly than at any other time. So maybe this is the kind of new moon where we don't necessarily have to wait 6 months until we see the fruit of our labor, whatever seed of intent we planted into the universe come to fruition. Maybe this new moon can be much quicker than any other new moons because of this very powerful fire trine. And naturally, this energy is also really, really good for artists, especially those artists who are not really in the spotlight, who are, hidden gems. They're still in that phase of their journeys where they don't have that massive courage and self-confidence to compete with others, for example, or those artists who are extremely talented and blessed, just that they simply never had the opportunity to, be in the spotlight. Well, this is where Mercury, and implicitly this new moon conjunct Regulus, the star of kings, the star of the rising of royalty and etc., can create extremely powerful opportunities for those who were never in the spotlight to finally rise up and express their talents and the miracle that lies in their souls to the entire planet, to the entire internet, for example. So it doesn't really matter what type of artist you are, maybe an actor, writer, poet, painter, musician, DJ, it doesn't really matter. This can be a very powerful chance for you. Of course, it all depends on your personal chart, but this type of energy truly promotes self-expression done with courage and self-confidence, and you never know how Regulus can simply bless your life. Because, Regulus conjunct Mercury, this is where, you can have certain connections which any under normal circumstances might be impossible. For example, a very unusual synchronicity where someone just discovers you, your work, etc. Maybe someone speaking about you, someone recommending you, and all of a sudden things can just come together in an instant and you might be invited to express yourself. But of course you don't necessarily have to be an artist. This is perfectly valid for everyone who has a passion, an ambition. It's perfectly valid, for example, if you're single and just want to find the biggest love of your life. Or a different situation where you're single but you know exactly who it is that you want. This energy can make you extremely magnetic, persuasive, attractive. You can finally have that breakthrough moment. And when it comes to love, you see at this time Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of blessings, the lower benefic, in the sign of Cancer, a place in the sky where she is really romantic, she's very emotional, but also really empathic, open to emotions, open to love, open to feelings, and she holds a sextile, harmonious celestial conversation with Uranus from her home sign of Taurus. So this energy can be very, very synchronistic, can be very fated, where if you're looking for love, you can have a lot of chances to just find it through coincidence, in a very unexpected, random manner. Maybe through your circle of friends, maybe through your family, someone introducing you to someone, and you're immediately gonna click, and things will go from there. It can be also through the internet. For example, Uranus co-rules the internet with Mercury, and Mercury is in a very brave and bold position, being conjunct to the sun and the moon. And Taurus is value, worth, a physical beauty, magnetism, personal magnetism, everything that makes you valuable. So dating sites, hobby sites, even gaming sites, or things that might connect two people together based on a common passion, common hobby, something that they love in common, can give birth to fantastic new relationships, or maybe just, friendships, or no strings attached kind of relationships. Because, all this fire energy, this grand fire trine, ultimately means passion as well. So, everything that has to do with love, passion, romance, etc. is in this picture. And even though Pluto is not directly part of this, be very careful about passion, especially if you're in a committed relationship, because this can also be the most perfect and ideal and almost fated opportunity for infidelity, third party situation, etc. And last but not least, another situation for which this energy is extremely ideal. For example, if you're stuck in your life with something for a long time, may it be a situation that just doesn't want to shift, doesn't want to change. Maybe it is your career, your job, your financial situation. Maybe you're single for too long. Something in your life that is the same way for a long time, and no matter what you do, it just didn't turn around. Well, this energy can inspire you to take an action or some kind of self-expression, anything which is susceptible to courage, boldness, self-confidence, and it can instantly turn things around. So if you're someone, for example, who has been missing all big opportunities, nothing simply enters their lives, well, this is a moment when you can just attract it into your life, with your sheer willpower. For example, you see a job being advertised on the internet, and you kind of know that either it's a little bit out of your league, or you don't have enough experience, or one way or another, you wouldn't normally fit into the picture. Well, this is the kind of energy where you just take that initiative, go for that interview and nail it. Or let's say, from a romantic perspective, you kind of meet someone who you really, really like, and the attraction is immediately there, but you rationally kind of know that you're either out of the league of this person, or you're too shy, or you're not that kind of person who makes a move. Well, this energy can actually empower you to make that move, and you could end up in the relationship of your dreams. But of course, it can have so very many different expressions. If you're a student, and usually you're not that brave and bold type who volunteers for project, etc., and this is where all of a sudden you can have a moment of inspiration and just go forward, and your project can be so successful that it could simply overcome your wildest expectations. Or let me give you another example. You are always given extra tasks and etc. at work, out of respect, or not wanting to lose your job, or not wanting to create conflict. You tolerate it for a long time, and this can be a moment of courage and celestial infusion of energy, where you just suddenly decide to stand up for yourself and say, no, I'm not doing this because it's not fair. And rather than being fired, maybe you're going to gain a totally new level of respect in your boss's eyes. So if your situation is having to say no or enforcing your boundaries, this is also a very, very good energy, because it's the warrior energy. And one last thing I would like to mention. Yes, this is a trine, and trines are usually supremely harmonious celestial conversations, basically blessings. This is when the benevolence of the universe showers down upon us, especially when it's a grand trine. But when Mars is in the picture, as in Mars is the lower malefic, Mars is in shadow, Mars is also conjunct Eris, the goddess of discord and chaos, and also conjunct with Dark Moon Lilith in the very impulsive fiery sign of Aries. And then we also have that South Node in Sagittarius conjunct with the galactic center. So this is like a very strong energy, which can turn physical almost. So there is a risk of fire hazards, explosions, extreme heat wave, volcanic eruptions, so the destructive force of the element of fire. Some astrologers might argue, well, this isn't compatible with the symbolism and the expression of the trine energy, but let's just say in outer reality, in nature, or the physical world, whatever is the highest good must not always be totally in tune with human logic and rationality, because the universe knows what is good in a way that we cannot simply understand its mysterious ways. So basically, what is good for nature might not always seem very good and positive for us, and that is why there is a chance of explosions, fire hazards, and the destructive force of heat and fire. For example, forest fires, well, they are extremely destructive and they're frightening, and of course they kill a lot of animals and life forms. But on the long term, the big picture, a forest regenerates itself through a forest fire. So, how destructive and negative its effects are is very, very questionable. Well, this concludes the analysis of this upcoming new moon. I hope that you enjoyed it and found it useful. And remember, if you would like a personal reading or find out how this energy can influence your personal life, or would just like an insight about what awaits you in the future, please log on to 1millionnights.com, where a dedicated advisor would love nothing more than to read for you, give you spiritual guidance and advice, and help you navigate through any area of your life which you might be feeling stuck with. Well, thank you once again. Wish everyone a blessed and very magical new moon. Until next time, bye for now.